I guess we're live now. So I've been told, hi, everybody out there in, I think you call it Cyberland. Sure. We're calling it that. Hi from my studio in Victoria, BC. It's a blustery day. You may see things fly past our window. It is what it is. But welcome and thanks for joining because this is my heart on screen and in your ears. One of the things I wanted to do with this podcast is really draw attention to our multifaceted instrument. When I started expanding what it is to practice voice into other areas like yoga, wink, diet and exercise, mindfulness, getting in tune with your inner critic, all that good stuff, my practice deepened, but it also got super rad and really crazy cool things started happening. So, this is the platform that we're going to do those conversations on. And I'm just tickled that my first guest said yes to me. She is just the brightest light you've ever seen, and you'll get to know her if you don't and agree with me. Here's her very official bio. Tracey Noseworthy. Tracey has dedicated herself to the practice, study, and teaching of yoga since discovering its joys and benefits in 2000. She leads from the heart and is known for her creatively sequenced classes, workshops, teacher trainings, and online platforms. She is a devoted mother of two, yes, she is, and offers yoga as a way of life, a practice of being in the moment and savoring every breath. Get the connection there? Singing, breath. You got it. Welcome, Tracey. So pumped.
Jilly, thanks for that beautiful intro.
It's
And
beautiful. Oh,
nice to see
well,
your
thank you.
face.
I should have had it memorized. If I was a real pro, I would have had it memorized, but
Yeah,
you know.
what's up?
What's up with you? You are so beautiful, and I'm probably going to say that 100 times over this call. But
I'll take it.
um, the savoring every breath, I'm just in love with that so much. As we talked earlier, my day went completely sideways today, and thank God for my husband who reined me in and helped make this go down because he's genius. Um, but savoring the breath, I think it was my no, I know it was my yoga practice today that kept me centered and calm and
Mm.
in it. So let's just dive right in. This is where our world intersects with breath, yoga, and breathing. Obviously, well, not obviously, but I've heard that even breath is more important than the poses. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on the savoring the breath. What is that? And build on a really unique and obvious connection between what you do and what I do.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely. The breath. I
Big
mean, the
one,
breath
right?
is just, yeah, it's a big one.
Coming
It's
in
a
hot.
loaded topic. And yeah, I mean, some say that it is well, it's the prana, it's the currency of our sort of our life force, our energy. So when you can belt it out as you do and you sing from
Mhm.
your heart, which those of you out there, I have witnessed, and it is gorgeous. Um, there's something that comes and stirs down deep inside. Other people say, and I love this quote, that it's like your currency. It's that exchange of energy that exists. Like we have a currency, we exchange money, we give, we take, we receive, we exchange it. And it's exactly the same with our breath. It's big and it fuels us. So I am a really big believer that it is the foundation of our yoga practice. It
Mm.
is the baseline from building the poses for sure, and how it is that we can, well, even get in or out of a pose, let alone stay in a posture, whether they're challenging, which many of them are, or whether we're just taking that real introductory shape for the very first time. It doesn't matter. So often we'll
Mm.
notice that our breath is shallow, or we are
Yes.
holding our breath, and then all of a sudden we
Mhm.
get this big reminder. You've reminded me sometimes, and I've taken lessons with this one. She's good. Um,
Vice
to
versa.
remember how to breathe
You
sometimes,
know, I know
and it
we forget.
shifts. We do forget
Even when we do this for a living, we forget, right?
all the
Like we
time.
breathe. I'm a professional breather, if that's a thing. So are
It's a
you,
thing. Yeah,
and we
it's a
forget.
thing.
Yeah.
Hmm. And
So
I will say that because there's sometimes like life is life, like you said today, and we get lifed, and
mhm,
all of a sudden we're realizing that, woo, I'm not even breathing at all. So you take that moment like that, that good old pause button, and you can just sit down and take one, two, or three deep breaths. Like those
mhm.
of you, try it. It changes everything.
Oh, it does. We do,
Mm-hmm.
before we do singing practice with some of my clients, most of my clients, we do 3 deep breaths on their own rhythm, and I know for a lot of singers, they're like, "Can we just get to the vocal exercises?"
Of
Because
course.
even though in the back of their mind they know breath is important, it's like, "No, no, 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 we need to do the mum, 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 mums, like, let's get on with it." But
Hmm.
I always say the breath is the gas to your vehicle. Without it, there is no road trip.
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
let's get in and let's do it right.
Yeah.
Right? I just think that's awesome. So, savoring the breath has been my theme today. I've been
Mm.
really trying to not be perfectionist, not jump into the inner critic dialogue about all the things, and just really be in the moment, and I swear it's made the difference in my day. So,
Mm. Well,
just
it
your
helps.
little
I think
space.
that it gives us that opportunity to, I mean, react a little less,
Mhm,
have a little bit more patience, take the moment to slow it down and be in that moment. Because,
mhm.
as you just said, like in those singing lessons, people want to sort of get to what they think they need to
Yeah,
get to. And the same in yoga, they want to get to the handstand in the center of the room. And it
yeah.
doesn't matter if you're getting to that point or not. What does matter is that journey along the way
Mm.
from the very beginning,
Oh, I love
and then
that.
really enjoying the ride.
Oh, that's so important. The journey. We can
Mm,
always judge and gauge to the finish line and where we are and how we're not there yet. And um, yoga, especially, has really brought me back to just be where you are. You don't need to be at the end of class. Like you don't need to
exactly.
be out the door doing other things just yet. And same for the singing practice. Like if we do our warm-ups on autopilot, we might as well not really be doing
Hmm.
them because we're just not like if you're checking your email, you might as well just do that and come back to your singing later because you're practicing habits you don't want to bring forward possibly, right? So, um
100%.
yeah, and I think yeah, get to the handstand and center the class. I love that. Like if you can just be in the moment, that's where the magic is. And I really believe that on stage or off
Mm,
stage or on the mat or off the mat or picking up kids and wiping them off after they eat dinner, like
all
in
of
the
it.
moment, in the moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It's real
Yeah.
life stuff. It's real life stuff. And we forget that, I think, especially more now than ever in today's day and age, like in our world
Mhm.
where we see tangibly at our fingertips something that we wanted, and then we
Yeah.
want it now. But we forget about how good it is to get there sometimes. I mean, it's going to have ups and downs and twists and turns, 100%. But to sort of move there, shift, morph, grow, let go, find space for something new to get there, it's a gorgeous ride.
It's so good. I'm gonna stay on this for
Hmm.
a bit because, I've heard people say that, and I've experienced it myself, that yoga isn't just on the mat, it's off the mat too. It's a
Mm.
way of life, and we've talked about that already, but is there anything else that you can, add and expand that conversation about how it transmutes your whole life, and it's actually, not to be too grandiose in my thinking, but it is life-changing in a way because you take it with you when you go. So what can you say about that?
Oh, yeah.
Off
I
the
mean,
mat.
you take it. It's funny because I shared with you
Mhm.
that I didn't really practice yoga until I got pregnant, and this is over
Yeah.
20 years ago. And I actually found yoga because I went to a fabulous teacher who was very German and very structured, but she taught me how to breathe before she taught me any postures
Mm.
at all. And I found that really fascinating because in the process of making a baby, in the process of becoming a mother, in the process of navigating relationships, partners, moving houses, buying, selling, renting, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Life is life, and life never ever really
Mhm.
goes according to plan. You
Right.
know, we might have a vision, we might have a goal out there, but I think that when we can sort of pull back and really recognize that there is this opportunity amidst the day, amidst the
Mhm.
morning where it's gross and yucky outside and you wake up and you're like, I can look at this in a really negative way. I can look at this in a really positive way. I can find myself somewhere in the
Mhm.
middle. I can say, get your feet on the floor, roll out your yoga mat, and take a practice. Or, you
Mhm.
know what? Yoga can be just putting on your toque and your gloves and your big rain boots and going for a walk in the forest. It's exactly the same thing. Go to the ocean, put your toes in the ocean, go for a walk on the beach, climb a
Yeah.
mountain. I mean, we think structure when we hear yoga, but I
Mhm.
don't think it has to be so contained into what's inside four walls and on a yoga mat. I think it
Mhm.
is much bigger than that. We just have to sort of allow ourselves to sort of experience that.
Mm.
So, the art of
Mm.
experience, the art of playfulness, the art of curiosity.
Ooh, that's big. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Curiosity is a big one. Like, stop with the self-judgment and just get curious. Like,
Mm.
why is this thing happening, and how can we change it, or how can we just be with it and not try to change it? Big questions, I know.
Oh, that's big too.
Existential, but yeah, I think that's um, one of the biggest things in my practice, yoga, singing, life, was just asking those questions, just going, okay, why do I do the things I do? And why does it always turn out this way? And why? Why? Just asking, right? Curious without the
Yeah.
judgment, the play, ease. Yeah, it's
But
so good.
also, like if you double spin that, listening to the answer that comes up intuitively. So if
Ooh.
you listen, you
Mhm,
ask that question to yourself and then you hear it back and
mhm,
it's like, ooh,
mhm.
huh. There's something that comes up, it's sometimes it's that gut instinct, other
Yeah.
times it's that little taste in the back of your throat, other times
Mm,
it's a tear in your eye,
mhm.
other times it's goosebumps, all of those little things. But they're the beautiful messages that come up for us when we ask the question, but then we have to listen.
Ooh, it's so good. It's so good. That's the other piece,
Yeah.
that intuition part, mind, body, soul, it works as one, and when we try to, dissect it into separate things, I understand we need to for understanding, for book knowledge, we can't have a one book with everything in it,
No.
go to university and
Yeah.
go to be a human 101. But we also need to remember that it's all connected. It's all us. So, I just love the philosophies of yoga, and of you that you bring to
Mm.
yoga. She's my favorite. And I don't have to say that. She's my favorite. But
Yeah.
you just have, this real knack of bringing the whole picture to every practice that I've been with you or done your videos to. It's the whole picture. We reconnect and we plug back in and then we go, right? And I just love
Yeah.
that. And, that's one of the things I've done with my singing practice too. I know I keep talking over back to singing, but I think that's what we need
I
to do
love
for each
that. Of
episode.
course.
Um, Really checking in with mind, body, and soul. And I know that
Mm.
sounds really heavy to do before you start doing your arpeggios or Whitney Houston belts or whatever you're doing that day, but it makes all the difference. Asking those questions. How am I feeling today? Did I leave my crappy day behind? Did I have a good sleep? Am I all knotted up in my shoulders? What's going on? So that it makes sense what the results I'm getting that day are, and
Oh,
not
yeah.
out of the blue. I wanted to talk to you, Trace, about, I mean, you segued beautifully to Samskaras. I hope I'm
Mm.
saying that right.
You are saying it
And
right.
we're just gonna go deep. I mean, I warned everybody. We're going deep.
Yeah. I like to go deep. Are
Right
you
off.
getting bring it on? Uh-huh.
Why waste time in the fluff? Let's go. Um,
Yes.
so first of all, if you could share with everybody a little bit about what these are and how you've experienced them either in your own yoga practice or you've seen some of your clients experience it.
Oh, samskaras are, in the best tangible way of understanding what a samskara is, it's like a little emotional scar. And so if you've ever just burnt your skin or done something where you leave a little bit of a mark, we see the physical scar. The emotional scar on the body is buried below the surface of the skin. And so I think at this point in my life, personally speaking, life has happened over years and I've had many ups and downs and learned from my experiences, not all of them great. And so in that, we can certainly push down what we don't want to look at. And the
Mhm.
more that we push down what we don't want to look at, the more embedded it becomes in our emotional body. And the harder it is to sort of get in there, if you will, like a little bit of a crack. You need a little sliver, you need a little crack, you need to just peel the surface layers apart a little bit, and then you can go deeper and peel apart and go deeper.
Mhm.
Breath, prana, movement, postures, yoga, a forest walk, an ocean swim, all of this will assist us. But going back to
Mhm.
what you said, Jilly, about asking the question
Mm.
and then about listening to the answer, there is some potency in that because we will be flooded sometimes with emotions, and in so many times it's pretty scary to
Mhm.
allow yourself to experience that
Right.
and allow that to come up. It's really a positive thing to allow it to come up. It's really a healing of many
Mhm.
levels, that it erupts like a little volcano below the
Mhm.
surface, and it sort of bubbles and it will come up. And, it might be fire, it might be sweat, it might be tears, it might be anger, it might be
Mm.
frustration, it might be forgiveness.
Mm.
It
Mhm.
can be so many things as it comes to the surface. But what happens is that you're lighter, you're you're looser, you're cleaner, your ability to sort of walk a new path with a new direction, with a sense of rebirth, if you will, is available.
Mm.
Um, Now, this is light. This is the lighter version of samskaras because they're not always that easy to get
Yeah,
to.
that's true.
Um,
That's
but I
true.
have been there. I've been there in a
Yeah.
few, like on my own experience, tears for no reason,
Yeah.
anger for no reason, the energy that bubbles deep below the surface, nauseous for
Mhm.
no reason,
Mhm.
that you can continue to push down, or
Mhm.
you can say, all right, today is the day that I'm really available, and I'm just going to, lean into the resistance that I've put there. And I'm just
Yeah.
going to identify and lean a little more and see what happens. With maybe it's just taking one breath that's deeper, one
Mhm.
step forward, one step
Mhm.
back, shake it out.
Yeah.
Sing loudly. I mean, it comes, I will
Mm.
speak and very honestly speak that singing, which Jill does so well, I'm shy about doing and a little nervous
Oh.
about doing. And yet I
Mm.
feel that it comes here for me to the back of
Yeah.
my throat. I love it. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I just like, embody it and just, and yet
Wow.
there's still something there that's a little bit something for me. Still working on that.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate your honesty because we're all working on something, right? We
Mm.
don't I mean, if there is a human on planet Earth with it all figured out, please give me a call
Yeah,
because
let me
I
know
wanna know
too.
you. I wanna know you, know
Yeah.
what you're doing. But, having the courage to just let this stuff kind of bubble up and get curious about it. So, Trace, is it the breath? Is it the movement? It's an unlocking, right? How would you say is it
Hmm.
a combination or what do we know about that?
I'd say that it's an unlocking. I'd say, that there's this ability, and there we will definitely protect ourselves when that will create some comfort zones.
Mm.
We'll honor the path of least resistance. We'll take the easy way.
Mhm.
We'll even in something as, on repeat sometimes warrior two pose. Probably most people listening will know what warrior two shape looks like. We hold the shape of a warrior, one arm extended forward, one arm extended back. It's a beautiful analogy to the past, which we
Mhm.
cannot change, and to the future that lies ahead, which is unknown. And yet we will honor this play in land, in space of our body in the midline, which, balanced would be in the moment that is right now. But we might teeter back.
Ah,
And we
right
might
teeter
hold
forward.
on really tightly to the past because it's safer there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we block and we hold and we
Yeah.
lock up what we really don't want to look at
Ooh.
because that's the work. That's the
Mhm.
breath. That's the prana. That's
Mhm.
the practice. And to unlock a little bit of what's happening here to move forward into that arm extended, which is the future, which is unknown,
Mm.
scary,
Mhm.
maybe,
Mhm.
trusting, yes,
Yeah.
decision
Possibility.
based at times, possibility,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
new brewing.
Wow.
So we protect. Some say we have a coat of armor around ourselves, and sometimes that's a really nice analogy. because
Mm.
it's like, ooh, I am good, I am solid, I am strong, I am invincible,
Yeah.
until we allow
Hell.
ourselves to crack a little bit, and
There's
until we
this,
say,
yeah. There's this saying that if you think you're a Buddha, go spend a weekend with your parents. Now, I love my parents, but I
true.
understand that, if you have any of those little buttons that maybe, they happened from those parental figures. So
Oh, triggers.
I'm,
Triggers and
I'm being very
buttons.
playful. I'll never forget when you and I went for some beverages together and you told me this word, samskaras, and I said, oh my God, that's been happening in my sessions with my clients. I lovingly joked with my husband that I make people cry for a living, and I had to put multiple boxes of Kleenex in my studio because I truly believe the breath and the sound vibration and moving our body and making sounds or busting through those limits of things we didn't think we could do, and suddenly all this other stuff came up with it. So, this is it's so cool. The more I learn about yoga, the more I understand about singing and vice
Oh,
versa. I
yeah.
think, it's so rad.
Well, there's such a
Mm.
dance, I think, between
Yeah.
singing and practicing. But where you
Yeah.
are in the voice, which I think is just magical, is fifth chakra. Fifth chakra
Oh,
is the
yeah.
throat chakra. And
Mhm.
the throat chakra is one that we speak to, which is communication. So
Mhm.
if we think about the words that we say both out loud to
Mhm.
another,
Mhm.
but also the words that we will say silently and spin back on repeat to ourselves, thousands upon thousands and thousands every single day. In fact, if you want the number, it's like 72,000 to 90,000 thoughts in one day.
Oh,
And
wow.
2/3 of those ridiculous thoughts are on repeat. I've quoted that
Yep.
before because it's
Yep.
rather fascinating and a little bit scary.
Yeah, it
But
is.
what you do with singing
Yeah.
is you give people to get in there a little bit.
Mhm.
Like, why
Mhm.
not unlock that voice of communication? Why not bring it up through the throat chakra?
Yeah.
And why not let it out?
Yeah. My producer is so phenomenal. Yes, everybody, ask your questions in chat.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. You can ask any questions, yoga, singing, otherwise. You can even ask us
Mm.
about kale if you want, or Tracy's got rad playlists that she uses in her classes that I'm always like, sometimes I lose where I am, Trace, in your classes, and I'm like grooving to the music, like it's Jawstone, and I'm grooving, and we've already moved out of Warrior 2, and I'm like, shit, son. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still hanging
Okay.
out with Joss. Joss and I are pals over here.
I just
Yeah.
I love it. I love the, marriage of music and yoga. I think it's phenomenal. There's so much I wanna get to with you today. I'm, like, watching the clock, and I need to be more present because if we don't get to it, we'll do another one.
Of course we
Okay?
will.
We'll do another
We're not
one.
going anywhere. We live in
Um,
Victoria.
yeah, but one of the things, that I know a lot of people ask me is like, how do I establish a regular yoga practice or any practice? Like, what are some tips from the yoga world on how to consistently show up for yourself in these habits? Because I know those repeated thoughts are the ones that go, you don't do yoga. Nuh you don't do singing on the reg. Like, no, shut it
Of
down.
course.
And how, and the awareness and just how we just, yeah, I'm going to open the floor because you're going to have something brilliant. No pressure.
Well, it's a good question. It's a really good question, Jilly, because I think that
Mhm.
regular practice is something that will, sometimes I actually will be super honest that I went to a yoga class for my very first time, kicking
Mm.
and screaming.
Oh.
That our good friend of mine at the time said, come, 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 come. And I really didn't want to go because in my mind, I thought that it was going to be very quiet and a little too spiritual, and I didn't know what the movement was going to be. I didn't know if I had enough flexibility. That's a really big question I get. And
Uh,
I didn't know what was going to be there. So I went and I loved it. And there was music, which I love. And there was movement. And it was at times quiet, but it wasn't scary. But what happened when I left was that I felt good. And I
mm,
think that
mhm,
when we want to find a practice, a teacher that resonates with you is so beneficial. And there are many, many teachers out there, and there are many different styles of yoga out there. So, what works for you? It's not the same for
mhm,
all of us, whether you like music or don't like music, whether you like
mhm.
a 30-minute class or a 90-minute class, whether you like to practice in the morning or the evening,
Oh, that's
whether you like a hot room or not a hot room. whether you like to
Mhm.
practice by yourself in front of
Yep.
your screen at home, whether you like 50 people in the room. So you kind of
Mhm.
have to find what works for you. And then you have to give yourself permission to really trust it and enjoy it.
Mhm.
Because what happens is it's deeper than you think it is. There's a there's a movement that, well, this is our outer layer, it's the skin, but it's so
Mhm.
much deeper.
Mhm.
It's under
Mhm.
there. And then when you start to really acknowledge, I feel better, I sleep better, I communicate better, I want to sing, I want to dance, I want to move my
Right?
body, I've got a
Yeah.
stronger core, I can boot
Yeah.
up a staircase, I can hold my babe, I can open up a wine bottle really well, whatever it is.
Both of those are equally important. You helped me
They
so much
are.
after my
They are.
C-section. I was like, "Tracy, I have no abs, and I
True.
need abs to pick up my kids, so let's do this." And you stood by me, and I have such resistance to my body and what it's capable of. Growing up with asthma, I was taught,
Yes.
maybe I came up with it myself, but that I was weaker somehow, right?
Hmm.
I mean, I couldn't participate in sports, so it was really powerful for you to be like, no, no, you can.
Of
Let's
course you can.
and if you don't know, let's just see. Like, let's just go in and get curious. And there's that word again. It was
But you know what
phenomenal.
the trick is of that? Is that all of us can. Every single person out there can.
I
It's just
know.
allowing yourself and giving yourself that space and time. You don't have to be flexible.
No,
You don't have to you don't even have to have a yoga mat. It doesn't really even matter.
you don't
You
have to do
know,
an hour. That
you
was a
don't
big
have to
one.
do an
I'm like,
hour.
I'm not doing an hour, so I'm not
You don't
doing
have
yoga
to.
right.
Yeah. 10
Well,
minutes, you
yeah,
know?
because 10 minutes with yoga versus 0 is well, I'd rather take the 10 minutes. I'm
Me
showing up
too.
for myself. So that works. That
Absolutely.
works. Oh my goodness, I love this stuff.
Yeah.
Voice. You and your voice. I mean, it's like butter. I'm saying that because I flip you on on the YouTube videos or whatever I'm following you on, and even my son comes in and is like, "What's going on?"
Aw,
And he takes
your
over my
son's
yoga mat, which is
gorgeous.
super cool, but, so he's into it. But it's your
Awesome. I
voice. From the
love
other
it.
room, he runs in and goes, "Mm, what's mom doing? I think I like this." So, you've got a really cool
Yes.
yeah, so wow, I mean, multi-generational in my house. But you've had an interesting voice journey because, as a yoga instructor, you wouldn't realize the percentage of your voice and how much that is your main tool some days because you're walking
Yeah.
around the class. You're not in the handstand at the front. You're walking around and
True.
talking to everybody. So I want to know a bit about your journey with voice. I know you.
Mm.
I heard rumor has it you worked on it, and I want to like dive in and just see what that was like.
I did work
But
on
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Tell
I
me
did
about it.
work on it. I think that yoga is, the voice is really important because we will hide behind our voice so many times. We will
Mhm.
sort of pitch it high or pitch it low, speak too fast or speak, I just made a rhyme, or speak too slow, you know.
Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, Dr. Seuss. So we will do that in a lot of cases. And I think
Yeah.
that there's a real dance, as I say again, between sort of watching my students and then leaning into where my voice can go. And there
Mm,
are times where the voice can go high when there's some energy, and it can go low when there needs to be some grounding. It can pick up a bit of cadence or pace in sun salutations, as an example. I
oh.
can slow it way down toward the end of a class. Meditation, pranayama, which is breath, at the
Mhm.
beginning of a practice, we kind of find a lilt. But my personal, like my interest in my voice has definitely morphed in the ways. I mean, I took singing lessons with this one right here because
What?
she's so good, and I really wanted to, and I wanted to sort of find a place where there can be projection.
Mhm.
I also have asthma, like Jilly, and so my lung capacity was a little bit stagnant and sticky at the beginning. Yoga has changed that, for
Mm.
the record.
Oh,
And
nice.
I have this ability now to sort of fill a room or communicate from this place that is a little bit guttural, but it's
Mhm.
also root. And so our tools, our communication, our language, in your case, how you sing,
Mhm.
can come out in such a wonderful way that is The root chakra is all about tribe, family, community, origin, genetics.
I
You
love this.
know, there's this ancestry, there's this history built in and
Hmm.
interwoven in your own body that sort
Hmm.
of comes up. So there's the stirring of the chakras all the way up to the fifth chakra, yet again, that
Yeah.
really illuminates the voice.
Oh wow.
And then, you know, we can lean into it, hug away from it, lean back into it.
Oh, I love the leaning in. I'm going to ask Drum
Hmm.
Geeks question because thank you for your
Yeah, I love that.
questions. Is there a style of yoga one can do with their children? Awesome question. I've been wondering this myself.
Because Jag
What do
does
you
it with
think?
you.
Well,
I think,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I say yes, 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 yes. You know, like our animals, as soon as you roll your yoga mat out, I mean, my dog, bless his soul, he's no longer with me, but he would, as soon as I rolled my mat out, he was on. Children do the exact same thing.
Yeah,
When my kids were younger, as soon as I rolled my yoga mat out, my kids were on it all the time, climbing all
yeah,
over me, climbing me under, all of it, hanging on me, didn't
yeah.
matter.
Oh, yeah.
But there's some really cool yoga apps out there. There are some really wonderful classes if you want something young with babies. There's mom and baby yoga at certain studios and on
Mhm.
websites. But any kind of yoga with children is wonderful. Any kind of movement with names that are applicable. So, you know, instead of us taking shoulder stand, we call it candlestick as an example.
Oh,
Instead of us taking something like Cobra, Bhujangasana, we call it seal pose. Instead of, you know,
oh,
doing something, you know, this is Anjali Mudra.
yeah.
I can't remember what we call this, but this is something that we seal in differently. It's like a seal clap. So
Oh,
playful,
yeah,
oriented.
yeah.
I teach vinyasa, and I think that vinyasa is really wonderful for kids because, you know, if you take a down dog and I'll say, lift your leg up in the air, they will follow you if they're listening. Lift your leg up in the air, step it forward. That's yoga.
Oh my gosh.
And then
I,
you're in a lunge, lift your arms up.
suddenly it's there. It's happening.
Suddenly
You're
it's
doing
there.
it.
And I would really love those children, if those children are involved in this teaching and this yoga, to
Yeah.
keep at it, and your little guy too,
Mm,
because you know I believe in if everybody did a little yoga and just did a little breathing and a little bit of moving, which is like it really opens up. It opens
yeah.
up our hearts. We can share everything.
Yeah. 100%. I'm actually really
Hmm.
obsessed with the psychology of everything. I'm always learning and reading books. My husband will attest to that. But the coolest thing I found out just recently is that your nervous system, aka your vagal
Mm.
tone and vagus nerve, can be reprogrammed through very few activities, and yoga is one,
Oh
and
yeah.
singing is one. And the science behind it is that we create this kind of discomfort, but because we're breathing and we have to go through it, we have the calm with the discomfort, and it reprograms things moving forward, which is just like what. So I'm taking my yoga practice even more seriously than before.
I love that. I love
I
that.
am totally, and it's rocking my world, and so thank you because
Yeah.
I
Oh
like I said,
no,
you're
it's
my main
delicious.
teacher.
Yeah. It's there,
Um,
you know, like I think that that tone and
yeah.
that, as you just said,
Mhm.
parasympathetic nervous system,
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
just brings us back to that sense of a little bit of calm, a little bit of
Absolutely.
essence.
Absolutely. So Trace, COVID was really fun and different because we had to get really creative. And as a yoga teacher, you spent a lot of time in your car
I
pre-COVID.
did.
And during COVID, you spent a lot of time online. But I'm curious about the regular practice you started at 9:30 PST for those of us in the Pacific time zone, and just the benefits of showing up with that same group
Oh
four or
my
five
God.
days a week, and what you've noticed, because sometimes I imagine in your class in the city, I mean, people try their best, but they don't show up every class every day
Hmm.
to the same class or however that looks. So and then there's this whole like community aspect about the same group every time in the days, right? So talk to me a little bit about how
Oh,
that sort of transition was, I imagine, really awesome,
oh, it's
even
so
though in the
awesome.
beginning it seemed really crazy and not
Yeah, it
awesome.
was so crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
COVID,
I know.
worldwide,
Sorry, guys, we're talking COVID.
yeah, but just for a second, and because you know what, I think that COVID has done or given or offered shifts for people in
Yeah,
depth of ways. And
yeah.
for me, you're right. So I was scheduled to teach two retreats, one in Mexico and one in Spain. Obviously, travel
Mm,
shut down. And I
mhm,
had so many wonderful people going to both of those retreats that I thought, how can I change that? So,
mm,
or how can I honor those? Or what can I do? So I decided to do an online retreat instead. And I offered just 5 days of 90-minute practices, and everybody came in. And I
oh,
thought, oh my
awesome.
God, this is so great. Now, I am not a techie person, so being here right now and navigating this is awesome. But I figured it out,
Sure.
like we all did, Zoom, Zoom, Zoom.
You just have to.
And you just
Here
have
we
to.
go. Yep,
AirPods, iPad, Zoom.
yep.
So, a couple of lights. And, got it going. And I did those two, and then people wanted more. So I
Mm.
did a January, this is last January, I did a January 30 minutes, 30 days.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
wow, from around the world, people came in and committed to 30 minutes for 30 days. And what I will say is that the dedication, the commitment, the ambition, the laughter, the smiles, all of it for 30 days in a row, including me, because I was a little bit terrified, thinking, oh my God, I got to teach 30 days in a row right now. Like, what? Get up every morning, 30 days in a row. What? But
Yeah.
it was wicked. And then at the end of those 30 days, people wanted more. So
Mm,
it has morphed. We go 5 mornings a week, 9 to 9:30 PST time.
mhm.
And
Oh, I'm
it's
sorry, 9. Yeah. I said
amazing. Yeah,
9:30
don't
already.
even worry.
Sorry.
But I've got students that have been here since day one. And some people will come in for a month. We always roll in a 1 month session. Some people will roll in
Mhm,
for a month, roll out for a month. Some
mhm.
people have been there the entire time. But what's happened is that I know these people. I feel like I can reach through and
Yeah.
like squeeze them and hug them through the screen, and I have never ever met them. I know their families. I know some of them are moving across country. I know some of them
Wow.
have gotten pregnant, had babies. I know, like, I just know, and they know about me, things that have
Mhm.
happened. And so it's been incredible. I never really thought I would say that about technology and social media,
I know this about
but
you.
yeah, I know,
Yeah.
because I'm a little bit like, but they are the best, and we're still going strong.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
they just love it. We laugh. We come in 10 or 15 minutes before, and
Yeah.
we laugh. And some people still have their coffee. It's 9 o'clock, we're about to move, and they're just zipping their coffee.
And then they're
Let me
upside
tell you.
down.
Yeah.
Oh, that community aspect is so phenomenal, and again, on the psychology tangent, because that's what
Mm,
I'm reading about right now, co-regulation is a thing, and your
yes.
energy and their energy, and everybody just benefits from this super cool, chill, zen, playful, awesome, drink your
All of it.
coffee, don't drink your coffee, like,
Yeah.
laugh, don't laugh, it doesn't matter, just bring yourself and show up, like, I just find that so
It's so, and you know what? There's no judgment. There's
right?
just no judgment. There's no attachments. There's just
Mhm,
nothing there. I'm in everybody's living room and they're in mine. Or in
mhm.
my case, it's kind of like my bedroom. But
Isn't it
they're
funny?
up there with me and it's
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
yeah. And I found COVID to be so interesting of a time because the world got, on one hand, smaller and scarier,
Hmm.
but then on the other time, bigger and warmer, and we dropped a lot of things that didn't work for us anymore, and we went
Oh,
forward
yeah.
being more honest and more playful. I mean, you had to with constant stress. Eventually, you kind of just go, "F it, okay,
You
this is it."
do. You
Yeah,
do. And okay, so I'm just going to like tell you about this because I've
love
been
it.
focusing on this contraction expansion theme lately.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of playful. Like if you think about the expanse on an inhale and the contraction on an exhale, you can also
Yes.
bring that into your breath, right? So everything we
Mhm.
do. But COVID, we all had to contract. We all kind of came into this sort of insular place for a while. We
Yeah.
were asked to. I mean, my God, like we all missed hugs.
Yeah.
We missed sharing energy with other people. We contracted, close,
Mhm.
small, still. But
Mhm.
what's happening on the other side of that is this expansion, is
Mm.
this ebb and flow of energy that's coming out in a bit of a new way, a new energy, a shift, growth, perspective.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like,
Too much almost.
yeah,
Like, whoa!
sometimes, yeah, because it's a bit of a hit. It's a bit of a whoa.
In a good
So
way,
it's
though.
really sort of a playful, recognizable, tangible quality of
Mhm.
transition
Oh, it's
that we're
totally
all
it.
sort of witnessing right now.
Well, it brings back the conversation we had earlier about that listening, like,
Hmm.
a double-edged sword, right? Like, you can be shown, "Hey, I need you to play a bit bigger," and you don't wanna see that.
Of
Sometimes we
course.
don't. I run up against that, pardon me, a lot with clients is that they don't want to be shown that things are possible sometimes. They don't know that they don't know want it,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they argue for the limits, because they seem so real, and I understand they are, like, the 2/3 repeat. "You can't do that. You can't do that."
Hmm.
Um, so it's interesting
Strong.
though. It's very strong, and that
Hmm.
trying to be objective, I think I know serves the singing world, but I think it also, for me, serves me in yoga because I'm not looking over at the neighbor going, shoot, I can't do that. Oh, I suck. I'm going, okay, stay on your own mat, stay here, be here,
Exactly.
and it's cool. But one of the things, and I know we touched on this a little bit, but um, I feel like yoga and singing, and there's other things too, but let's just go yoga and singing,
Yeah, yeah.
are amazing micros for a bigger macro conversation. Meaning,
Mm.
you want to see that dialogue, that repeat dialogue in action, you go try on some of these activities because
Oh,
they're the ones
yeah.
that are going to be like, you can't do a handstand, you can't do high notes. What the heck? You should just quit, right? You
I
can
know.
see it
Good
in
accent.
action. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering from the yoga community and just that philosophy, what are some tips and tricks that you found that worked for you to make friends with that inner critic and tell them to go just chill
Mm.
out with a blanket and some tea?
Yeah.
What can you share with us, Therese?
Oh,
Big one,
loaded question.
big one. I told you, going deep.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's tricky because I
Yeah.
think that the ego inside all of us is like, it just really, it's there. It's really there all the time. And so that ego is of essence. And I think that we can identify or at least observe or draw awareness toward that and just say, okay, you know what? Doesn't matter. Now in a room, in a yoga room, of course, there are usually all levels of practice, everything. We've got male, female, all genders, all
Mm.
sexualities, all smells, all
Yeah.
sounds, we've got it all
Yeah.
going on. So there's a plethora of things happening that's
Yeah.
stimulating our senses. And sometimes, it might be too much. And at other times, we can bring that back and say, okay, I'm here for me. And,
Mm.
one of my teachers said to me, it is through our eyes, that is our perspective, tiny, 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 tiny little peoples that take everything in. And we take everything in with such judgment. And,
Mhm.
if we give ourselves that ability to not judge others, then with that same sweetness, maybe we can no longer judge ourselves.
Mm. Wow.
Now, that's challenging because we can't
Yeah.
help but judge ourselves,
Mm.
because really social media bombards us and
Mhm.
magazines and news and
Mhm.
family and friends. I mean, all of it sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So we want to look a certain way, we want to sound a certain way, we want to be a certain way.
Mhm.
So, is there a way that we can go in and sort of not see tunnel vision, but minimize the perspective a little bit, close your eyes halfway, see rather than looking out all day long what's
Mhm.
going on inside. So I'll say sometimes, like, can you see something inside with
Ooh.
more than just your eyes? Can you hear something that's happening inside with more than just your ears? Is there something there? Can you even give yourself permission enough to just land in your body, standing, laying, whatever, and allow yourself to feel all the feels, or the
Mm.
sensations, or the vibrations, or whatever might be moving below the surface? Because that's where the magic happens. That's where the
Yeah.
subtlety happens. That's where the release happens. And that's where there's space for something new to happen.
Mhm.
But sometimes we're, as we talked about with Samskaras, closed.
Yeah, or we're
So,
rushing through
or
everything
we're
and we're
rushing
not
through.
stopping to hear it. We don't wa maybe we hear the little nudge, but we're like, "Go away, I've got dishes to do." Like,
Yeah.
I've got 16 other things going on in the air, right?
And I also think baby steps, like tiny
Yeah,
little baby steps.
yeah.
Sometimes, if you're not comfortable in a studio, roll out your mat at home.
Mhm.
If you don't want take an hour, like you said, find 10 minutes.
Yeah,
If you love Joss Stone, crank it up nice and loud and just move your body intuitively and see what happens.
and sing
You
along.
know? Yeah. Do the things that make you feel good. If you want to put on a piece of music and sing at the
Yeah.
top of your lungs while you're practicing, do it.
Oh, it's the
If you want to
best.
stretch your wrists on your steering wheel a little bit carefully, do it
Yeah, yeah.
when you're driving.
You got it, and I think the
Yeah.
biggest thing is from that I'm taking away from our conversation is just permission to want what you want. Like, it's
Yes.
okay, and whatever you can
Yeah.
do towards that is good enough, like, it really is. Now, if I always get this question, "Well, what if I wanna win a Grammy?" Okay, well, then I'll put you on a certain program, like, I'll help you guide you there, but right now, if just rocking out in your car on the way to work is the way we start that program, wonderful.
Perfect.
Wonderful,
Exactly.
right? And if
Do you think
just
I can win a Grammy if I start rocking it out in my car, Jill?
do you want to know the answer? Because once I say
I
the
know the
answer
answer. I know what you're going to say. I know, I know, I know.
oh, yes, the answer is yes. Uh, and I get that all the time, "Oh, Jill, rainbows and lollipops," and yes, I tend to be that way, but I also tend to think, nobody really knows how this thing called life goes and works,
Mm-mm.
so why not no limits? Like, if you wanna do something and you have that pull to do it, then isn't there
Do it.
something maybe bigger kinda pulling you that way? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? But there's a plan and a program to get you there with ease and curiosity, ang
Mm-hmm.
not angst. You can't angst your way through vocal practice. You can't angst your way through yoga and expect to get the same results as the person next to you who's just super zen. Like,
Exactly. I'll say a lot too in my teaching. There's an effortless effort involved in so much of this that there is
mm,
this, we can't
yeah.
really push ourselves through something so forcefully, but we can
Mhm,
certainly dial back and experience where that, I come back to that expansion, but where something happens in your body that there's this effortless guide, much like
yeah,
singing.
yeah,
Nerves are a big, you know, they come into play all the time. Singing for sure, practice
mhm,
for sure, walking into a studio for sure. It might not
yeah,
be everybody's sort of comfort zone. In fact,
mhm.
for a lot of people, it's quite challenging.
Oh, it
So you
is,
come in and you
absolutely.
got to sort of say, okay, what is that going to feel like?
Right,
How do I
right.
get there?
And the nerves, that's a big one.
Mm.
There's a saying, and I can't remember who, but anxiety is excitement without the breath, and I really believe that. I've
Ooh,
seen it in
that's
action. Yeah,
good.
I've seen it in action for myself when I rolled up here to do this podcast. I was like, "Geez, what am I doing? What am I doing?"
Yeah.
You have that little voice inside you, and I know it's true because my voice is trying to shut down right now while I'm saying it.
Uh-huh.
But true
Exactly.
story, Samskaras, full circle, hashtag.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have this big voice that goes, "Hey, why not this cool new big thing?" And then we got this other voice going, "Why did you say yes to that?" And the devil and the angel always like side by
Yeah.
each, and if they could just be friends, that would be
It would
wouldn't
be
that be
nice if they could
nice?
be friends, wouldn't it? If they could just like have a cup of
Kumbaya.
tea, share a glass of wine, have a little chat.
They fuel each other on though, because then the other one's like, "Oh yeah, watch me. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. It's
Dare
true.
me." Yeah.
It's so true.
Oh, Tracy, I could talk to you forever, but I'm looking at the time and I wanna make sure we get to everything. So,
Okay.
my lovely producer, could you bring up Tracy's links on where to find Tracy again? She has a
Oh,
website. Tell us about your website, Trace, and what's available to people
ooh, my
who
website's
want to
super
follow
fun.
you.
It's pretty interactive. There's lots of videos on there if you feel like just jumping in and
Mhm.
doing a little practice. It's also got my schedule. It also has up and coming events. I'm heading to Spain in October if anybody wants to come away with
Lovely,
me and
lovely.
practice in Spain. Um, there's lots
Okay,
of
me
exciting
too.
things in there that are kind of fun. I know, come.
I
You'll be doing
know.
singing.
I need to.
But yeah, it's a nice way of communication. My partner
Yeah,
Annie helps me create this, stay on it as far as I mentioned earlier, my techie side, and
yeah.
keep that information out there for
Mhm.
people, and then stay as interactive as I can be.
That's
But you
awesome.
can find me there. So if you're
You can
curious and
find
if you've
her
got
there.
questions, please find me.
Instagram and her website.
Yeah.
And for those of us that are going to be listening on iTunes later, it's Tracy with an EY, noseworthy.com. And
Mm,
Instagram is at Tracy Noseworthy, correct? Did I get that
correct.
right?
Yeah, you got that right. You nailed it.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Well, you know what? I'm going to open the floor to you for a sec, Trace, because there's often
Mm.
times where the interviewer is off on this tangent here, and you may have had something pop up for you that you're like, oh, this is something I
Huh.
noticed between yoga and singing, and I'm putting you on the spot now, and I know that, so we can always pass and we can do some
No,
breathing
no, I love
exercises.
it. Yeah.
But we've worked together on both fronts. You've taught me
We
yoga, I've
have.
taught you singing, and um, is there anything in your experience with both those two interactions about the similarities and just really bringing home that holistic instrument? Is there anything that comes to mind before we wrap?
I would say that you need to sort of seize the moments all the time. And
Mm,
I would say that you really need to jump in and say yes, like you said earlier. If there are opportunities and you're a little
yeah,
bit curious, but you're pulling back, say yes. If there's something that is niggling at you inside and you want to do something, say yes. You want to try something? Say yes. And it might
mhm,
not be yoga and it might not be singing, but
yeah,
it might be something that you've just been pondering, percolating is a good word, thinking about
oh,
inside your
yeah,
mind a little bit. And you think, oh, like, why do we not? I ask myself that
mm,
sometimes. Why do we not just sort of take that leap of faith or say yes to learning something new or say yes to bypass something that might be holding us back? I mean, sometimes
mhm,
we feel like our feet are in cement
yes,
and you just want to pull them out of that cement and then you want to take the next step forward and
yeah,
dig into what that is because there is that this is life and it's kind of short and right now we've been sort of in it for the last couple of years and I do think that there's this essence, this luminosity, this energy, this radiance that is starting to come back and we got to share that.
oh,
And I mean, in my case, I think that yoga is really powerful. I mean, I love to share that with people. And I
mhm,
will absolutely like sing from the rooftops about how powerful yoga is and share
ooh,
that. And I'll
is
even
that
sing in a
literal?
yoga room a little bit more lately. I'll even sing a little mantra and do a little
What?
thing because it's playful, a little bit. Silly, you'd be
I
proud.
need to get out of my hole and
Yeah,
stop
you
being a
do.
hermit. Oh, I'm so
You do.
excited for you. I was just about to ask,
Yeah.
what's next for Tracy Noseworthy and yoga, but is singing and mantras and meditation and all that
Yeah.
jazz. That's hey,
It's all there.
it's
You
all
know,
there. Little
it's all there.
yeses. That's
Little
the
yeses.
theme.
And
Little
the
yeses.
the the fifth, the voice, all of it, like our
Yeah.
communication. We can stop ourselves, we can hold ourselves down, but I just ask
Yeah.
all of you listening, like, why? Why do you want to hold yourself down?
Right.
Let
Right.
yourself fly.
And I know
Hmm.
we're all afraid of the judgment of other people, but honestly,
We
they're all
are,
thinking about themselves. They
of
are. They're all
course.
thinking about
Yeah.
themselves and what you might be thinking of them. So
Yeah.
F it and just fly. That's
Just
the
do it.
theme.
Yep. I think it's a good theme.
Oh, so good. Well, I just appreciate you so much, and I know I
Ah,
asked you if you would,
ditto feelings.
oh, so much
Hmm.
love here. Thank you to everybody in
Hmm.
the chats too. We have 5 minutes. This flies by.
It does fly by. That's ridiculous.
But it's good.
Yeah.
An hour is a bite-sized thing, and people can
Yep.
handle it, an
I think so
hour
too.
commute to work, and you can listen to us talk about cool stuff.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah,
Therese, I talked to you earlier about a possibility of a breath exercise, and initially I said, "Let's do it in the beginning," but life happened. And so
it
maybe
does.
as a closer, that might be really cool to close us out with a breath exercise. So first, thank you to everybody who's joined us
Mm,
in the chat or otherwise. We don't know who. My producer knows how many people are on there. I don't know. I've seen a little bit of your comments, and I bless you. Thank you so much. That's
me too.
awesome. These
Mm-hmm.
conversations need to happen in our world, and I'm so privileged to be able to host them and have people. Oh, we got a comment. So
Yeah.
eye-opening and inspiring. Thank you.
Ah,
Thank you,
awesome.
Andrea. Thank you, Andrea King. We're having a great
Yes.
time and we just can't wait. Tracy, I'm gonna have you back sometime too.
Oh, I
Okay.
hope so. I really do hope so. I'd love
There's so
to.
much more. There's so much more
Yeah.
we can talk about. So without further ado, over to you and a breath
All
closing
right.
exercise. Thank you.
So I'm just going to give you like maybe I don't know. Let's just do this. If you're
Yeah.
sitting on the floor or if you're sitting in your chair, I'm just going to get you to plant your feet flat for me, just for a moment. And I want you just to feel that energy, whether your feet are in shoes or whether they're barefoot or whether they're in socks, and just feel your little toes. And then as you sit through your sit bones, just feel your energy, feel it descend, and then wiggle your tailbone down toward the earth or the chair. And then notice how the sides of your body lift up. And as you find the sides of your body continue to grow up, draw your ribs back, open up your collarbones, rest your chin a little bit more parallel to the mat, and then trust yourself to close your eyes. And as you're there with your eyes soft and closed, take a swallow. And just notice what happens inside your mouth when you take that swallow. Because we relax and any tension that's held in the back of the throat between your molars. And if it's comfortable and playful and curious for you, bring the tip of your tongue behind your top two front teeth for me. And just rest it there. So this is one of many what we call bandhas in the body that open the gates, or and sometimes we reverse that and we will close the gates, and some say locks. But this opens up the gateway to the soft palate to the back of your throat. So hence the singing to the back of your throat. And if it's comfortable, keep your tongue resting behind your top two front teeth and let the breath empty completely. And then take a soft, deep inhale and bring that breath up until your collarbones open. And when you think you're full, sip in a little bit more. And then keep your mouth closed, keep your tongue soft, and exhale out through your nose. And when you bring the breath down softly, draw your navel toward the back of your body. And then pause and stay there, stay empty. Then do that again. Inhale, bring the breath up. Sip in a little bit more at the very top. Mouth closed, eyes soft, exhale out through your nose. Maybe deeper. Navel draws to the back body. And let's do two more like that. So just bring the breath in and just note the lift. It comes right up across your chest. At the very top, sip in a little more. Exhale, take it all the way back down. Navel to the back of your body, you're empty. Notice the sip, the difference. One more. Inhale, bring it in, bring it up. Sip in a little bit more. And then exhale, take it back down. Go a little deeper on that exhale. And do me a favor, keep your eyes closed and bring one hand to your chest, right there, center your chest, and bring the other hand onto your chest as well. So that here in our hearts, the element of air is our fourth chakra, the air we breathe. So is our light and the essence that we can shine our love, our light, and our peace. You can blink your eyes open, and thanks so much, Jilly. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's
It's
so
been a
delicious.
blast.
Thank you. You're just, again, beautiful soul. I put that everywhere and I mean it truly.
Mm,
So thank you. And if you just stick around while Sean signs you out, I'm just going to say a proper goodbye. But
sounds
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. So thanks, Sean. You can, um, we'll see you soon, Trace. Thank you, Tracy. And I'll just
You're
do a
welcome.
quick closing to
Yeah,
all
thanks for
y'all.
having me. All
Thank
right.
you.
Ciao for now.
Bye. Bye. I think he's on it. We'll
Maybe I'm
find
still
out.
here. Yeah. Who
He's
knows? We'll
been
see how it goes.
super suave. Well, whatever. You know what? He's dad right now. So
He's
maybe we're not going to
yeah.
have it streamlined.
Maybe he just drifted away on that breath exercise.
But he probably did. Oh, thank you, husband. You're a rock star. Mega super thank you to my husband, who's dad, 100% dad right now, and 100% producer of this show. And thank you everybody for joining us in this conversation. There'll be more. Please check our website, Voxsana, vocalcoaching.com, as well as our Facebook and YouTube for the latest happenings. Until then, beauties, we'll see you next time. Bye bye.